So 3 things I want you to learn from this video is 1, how to format your quiz, 2, how to preview your quiz, and 3, how to grade short responses. Okay, so let's start with the first one, formatting your quiz. I always use 3 sections, at least 3 sections, right? So for me, section 1 is password. So that is a short answer, and my password is AP123, and then a message in case they get the password incorrect. Try again, and then I require it, always require it. Section 2 is my student information, last name, first name, and class. Section 3 is my actual test. So this is my multiple choice test. The reason why I separate student information from the test, because we are going to shuffle questions. So I don't want their name and all the student information to just be mixed all over the test. So I try to avoid that by doing a section for just the student information. So before you can start assigning points to the questions on your quiz, you have to make sure you click on the settings. I collect email addresses. I restrict it to our district, limit 1 response. No, they cannot edit after they submit. No, they can see the summary charts, text responses. Presentation, I show progress bar. Yes, they can see that. And shuffle question order. I do that. This is where it matters. So by default, this will be off. Make sure you turn this on. Then it makes it a quiz. If your students have Chromebooks given to them by the district, you can turn on unlock mode, which means it will lock their Chromebooks so that they can open any other tabs, and they have to use their Chromebooks to take the quiz. Another thing too, if you're only doing multiple choice, then they can have their score right away. If you're doing short responses, you have to select later because you have to manually score those. By default, these 3 will be checked. I take off missed questions. They cannot see that. They cannot see correct answers. Why? Because I allow them to retake the quiz. So then I save. Now you have to come back to your questions, and now you will have the option for answer key. So click on your first question, click on answer key, and select the answer to that question, and then assign it, give it a point value. So for me, it's always 1 point, and then click done. And you can also move your correct response anywhere you want. Okay, so then you do that for all your questions, right? So here I have my answer key, that's correct, 1 point, done, required. Oh, make sure you click required for each question, so they can't move on until they answer that question. And then for short responses, right, you have short response or paragraph option. I do have an answer key, but because their answers are going to vary for short responses, I leave it blank. You do have to give it a point value. So in this case, it's 2 points. I'm done. Make it required. And then we go up here. And then this will take us to the second part. The quiz is ready. So now we're going to preview the quiz. And you can actually take the quiz. So I'm going to show you, this is case sensitive, right? So if the students try to do AP123, it's not going to let them. If they do AP123 almost correct, but they leave a space, it won't let them either. It has to be exactly how you typed it in. So it has to be AP123. Next, now it's going to allow them to start, right? So it shuffles everything, right? So my name, class, last name, next. Now I can start the quiz, right? So I'm going to get one wrong, just so you can see. And then it's a simile, right? And then give an example of the simile. Your eyes are like the sun. Okay, and then the students can see the point value for each question. Yeah. So submit. Now you can go back to your quiz. You'll see the responses here. Click on response, click on spreadsheet, create. Once you have the spreadsheet, you'll see the student score, right? And I have 1 out of 4 because I haven't graded the short response. So let's say you create the spreadsheet and you didn't grade the short response. Don't you worry. You can just come over here, question. This is where you see the questions, right? So I just click. You can see I got simile correct. I got metaphor wrong, so it tells me I didn't get points for that. And this is where you will see all the short responses. And you'll have here, is this correct or is this wrong? You're going to click correct. And how many points do you want it? It's 2 points because that's what I assigned it. It's going to ask you save. Yes. Now, if I go back here to my Google Forms, it's going to change that score for me. So now I have 3 out of 4. Yay. And I know some teachers score on Google Classroom. I do not. I never assign point values to my assignments on Google Classroom because it's double the work. So my students know that Google Classroom is only for, like it serves as a digital binder for the class, but all grading goes on my gradebook, which my school uses Illuminate. So what I do is I go to Google Classroom, I open up the spreadsheet, I use my second monitor for Google Classroom and my laptop for my gradebook, and I'm just inputting grades by looking at the spreadsheet. The last thing, well, I think that was it. Yay. Another thing too, really quickly, that I'm going to add as a plus for you, if you want to do extra credit, like you want to create a silly question, I do that. I assign it like 0.5 value. How many championship titles do the Lakers have currently? Okay. Let's say this is extra credit for your students. You want to have short answer, right? You want them to answer it, unless you want to give them multiple choice. It's up to you. I do short response or short answer. I'm sorry. I don't put in a response. I leave it 0. So if you want to do extra credit question, leave it as 0. So done. It's not required because it's an extra credit question, so don't require it. If I come back here, it added it here, right? So if when your student, when you go back to grade the question, right, because it's not required, it'll show up here, right? So here it is. How many championships started? It'll ask you, right? Left blank. So I wouldn't do anything with it, right? But let's say a student answered correctly, 16. Then I can assign them 0.5. Do I want to? Yes. Save that. I come back here. Let's see now. I have 3.5 out of 4 because I got that extra credit question correct. Okay, have fun. I hope this really helps.